Ready?
Okay. Good evening. Notice for the meeting Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, 1210 Main Street, Oconto. This will be an open meeting, and notice has been given to the public at least 24 hours prior to the meeting by forwarding the complete agenda to the Oconto County Reporter and all other news media who have requested the same. Copies of the completed agenda were available for inspection at the office of the city administrator. 6 p.m. meeting of the Committee of the Whole with the following agenda. Meeting called to order. Roll call.
Mayor Panetti?
Here.
Butch Melberg?
Here.
Steve Stock?
Here.
John Wickoff?
Here.
Patsy Bake?
Here.
Jean Felt?
Here.
Bob LeBrecq?
Here.
Attorney Calvert?
Here.
Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Just hold on. We're gonna skip number 8. That has to go to the council. Excuse me, number 6G. G is in girl.
Moving it?
To
Just
next.
bypass it.
So can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, second, Patsy. Discussion, vote. All in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, correspondence. 4A, Oconto High School Monthly Event Report. Is there anybody here from high school? No? Okay, I have some correspondence here.
Bob LeBrecq has one.
Bobby,
I was gonna do correspondence because you and I talked, and I talked to Brittany.
go ahead.
Well, I basically wanted to bring back the old wage and personnel committee. We can use that as a buffer, and we also get more control over our personnel and problems that we have the committee back. And it's something to think about. I believe we'd have to have it on May meeting. So it would be something on the agenda to look at. It just makes more sense because of some of the problems we've been having and everything, so let's see if that brings back at least some stability from the old time. I mean, we used to have the wage and personnel and the finance together, one and then the other, but at least bring back the wage and personnel committee.
We should bring them both back.
But if you wanna, you can. I mean, financially too, because of problems, but I just thought for now, maybe, because some of the old council members decided that it was redundant, because we would go to the wage and personnel and then to the finance before the committee of the whole, and then we'd come at 6 o'clock, and we all knew what we were talking about. Basically, you had to tell the people that were here, you know, so as far as I'm concerned, if you want both of them, it's fine with me. My finance and the wage and personnel.
Okay. Frank?
Okay, so the only thing we would need to kind of know in starting to redraft this, was it used to be 5 on the finance and 5 on the wage and personnel.
Correct.
When we had 10 council members, so
Yeah.
that's why it was 5. Do you want,
Why can't we go 3 and 3?
that's all I'm asking is, do you have any
What-
thoughts?
First of all, how many, you have to find out exactly how many members are on each committee, whether you want 3 or 5, you have to, that's, I believe, why we went to 5, because they always had 5. So then the 6th one would come and they would be on, like if you were on wage and personnel, then there would be one that wasn't on the finance, you know what I'm saying?
But we could go 3 and 3.
Well, if you can, that's fine, but I don't know if you can, because you're dictated by, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd have to look at, my first response is 3 isn't many on a committee, but you can, yeah.
Because then you would have.
Typically, we are at least 5.
Yes, I think that there's a number that you have to have, I'm not sure.
You could always have 2 citizens on there.
That's what I was just gonna ask, no?
You don't have any citizens, it's city council members. For those two, personnel
Yeah,
and finance.
we always did.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my question.
You can't, did you say you cannot have citizen?
No, because.
Not for hiring.
Okay,
You're basically putting citizens on a wage and personnel committee, and,
I get it.
you know,
Okay.
We can put a draft together for next month. We can put a draft together and take a look at it.
It'd be for May. I know it's soon, but at least we got it out in the open.
Anything else, Bobby?
Okay.
Is there any other correspondence? I'll go quick here. Received a letter, Dear Tree City USA community member, on behalf of Arbor Day Foundation, I'm thrilled to congratulate O'Connell on earning recognition as a 2022 Tree City USA. Residents of O'Connell should be proud to live in a community that makes the planting and care of trees a priority. Founded in 1976, Tree City USA is a partnership between Arbor Day Foundation, the U.S. Forest Service, and the National Association of State Forests. O'Connell is part of an incredible network of more than 3,600 Tree City USA communities nationwide with a combined population of 155 million. Over the last few years, the value and importance of trees has become increasingly clear. Cities and towns across the globe are facing issues with air quality, water resources, personal health, and well-being and energy use. O'Connell has taken steps to create a brighter, greener future. We hope you are as excited as we are to share this accomplishment with your local media and your residents. Encloses a packet of a press release to distribute. We are excited to celebrate your community to the people of Trees of O'Connell. Thank you again for your efforts. Hats off to John Bosted and Park and Rec Committee for accomplishing that. I know he puts a lot into that. I don't know where this year's planting is going to be. It might.
Forestry does that.
No, we do. John does it.
Yeah,
John's on forestry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you said the committee? I thought you said department.
No, the
Yeah.
forestry committee usually have a contest at Arbor Day, and then they have the kids come and
Oh, yeah.
prizes and everything, and then they
Yeah,
plant
last
trees
time,
with them.
Yeah. Okay. Second item I have is I did receive a call from Carl Plasters. The O'Connell County Veterans Memorial Committee is going to do their groundbreaking and ribbon cutting, what is it, April 19th at 10:30 to 11 a.m. Channel 2 and 5 will be there. Apparently Mike Gallagher, Elijah Benke, city representative. I'm hoping Steve Stock will step up to the plate since I'll be out of state.
That might be a problem. Let me check. I thought I had something going on here.
Okay, so they're going to break ground there. This is where the City Park Cannon is going to be relocated. This is going to, at first I thought this was a small endeavor. It's not. It's going to recognize every O'Connell County veteran that served from Revolutionary War to the present. So this is going to be an attraction into the future when this is complete. Moving on here. On Thursday, April 16th, I attended the Board of Directors for the O'Connell County Economic Development Committee over in Gillett. And listen to the speaker, Wisconsin Manufacturer Commerce Wade Goodsell, and what Wisconsin is doing here as a whole. Their goal, and because manufacturing is such a large part of Wisconsin, is look at ways to keep Wisconsin competitive. That's 1/3 of their goal. They look hard at state demographics and talent attraction. And what they mean by that, how do they get people to relocate into Wisconsin? Good example they gave is for veterans. When they get out of the military, 1/3 of them either stay where they are, typically relocate where their spouse is, and or basically go home, stay where they are, go back to their hometown, and 1/3 go wherever it's most attractive, wherever their jobs are pulling them. So that's a key factor in getting talent back into Wisconsin that they monitor. The other items I learned that Spectrum is acquired a $1.1 million grant with $400,000 going out by the airport road. That's going to take place, but the big portion of this was going to go, I call it the black hole when you're on the highway heading south and all your cells go dead. About just south of Ocano and down to Little Swamico. That has very, very poor subject, and they showed coverage. And they showed how that project is supposed to be complete by 2025. So I was excited about that it's moving forward. The other item they covered is they're seeking a grant to combat the rise of fentanyl coming into Ocano County. I'm 100% on board with that. I was happy to hear that. They were moving in that direction. So they also had which I found interesting, Ocano County Housing Market Study that they just completed. And this is a housing study and prepared by Bay Lakes Regional Planning Commission. And it's quite well done for the whole county. Some of the interesting facts that I found in the study, median household income by county. Shocking. The United States, the median household income as an average is just $69,717. For Wisconsin, the median household average is $67,125. For Ocano County is at $68,426. Brown County's below that is at 66,000, Lang Lake 53, Marinette 55, Shawano 59,000, Wapaka was 65. Interesting information that I didn't know. Another piece of information is for the Ocano County. For Ocano County, manufacturing consists of 24% employment. Now that's the number one in Ocano County. The number two was educational services, healthcare, and social assistance, which accounted for 20%. And then tied for third and fourth at 10% were retail, trade, and construction. And it goes down. But I do have an extra copy of this I can get to you, or you can go over to Sammy Boucher and Jamie Celine. They have quite a few, but it's you can utilize this in many different ways here. Businesses, planning. It's very well done, very detailed. Moving on. Boat launches. Exciting. I'll give you some numbers here for boat launches. In the month of March, there were 148 boat launches that took place, and so far in April, there is 974 launches to date. So year to date is 1,122 launches, but that does not include the seasonal passes. So with that said, this is something that at the Harbor Commission and I stated on the boat launches that we will monitor the numbers at the end of it. I know there was a large concern on the increase of the fees, but let's look at the number at the end of the year. Now with that said, from the information that Brittany's crew and ladies are compiling of the 1,122 launches, 10 different states. Wisconsin was the largest, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, Iowa, Indiana, Michigan, Georgia, Montana, and Kansas were the 10 states. So that's valuable marketing information that we can utilize moving into the future. I don't know, is there any questions on boat launches? It's larger. It's a larger industry than I think I had anticipated so far. So let's see. I did have a one-on-one meeting with Ross Stenstrup on. I wanted to feature him as an employer here in O'Connell. He's the one that runs the tattoo shop over here by the Brothers 3. And I really liked how they spruced that building up. And he must be the master of tattoos, because I did not realize, I mean, he's booked up for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was just shocked at the backlog of the amount of business he has there. But he wants to get to a little warmer weather, and then we'll do a shoot there. And then the last item, I learned this at the tourism committee last night for Airbnbs and the hotel tax, that Airbnb is actually charging 8% right now on one of them in O'Connell. And I don't know how that, I don't know how that is, because we haven't set up the structure there. But what it told me is we need to keep our foot on the gas pedal to get that done, because that's dollars slipping by us. And with those fees, 70% would go to if we would elect the EDC for the county, they would have to use that 70% for promotion of tourism. 30% would go to the city, and we could utilize that to our needs. And that's something we could discuss later on down the road. So, any questions? We'll keep moving. Any other correspondence? Okay. We'll move on to item number 5, public input. With public input, you get 5 minutes. At 4 minutes, 30 seconds, I'll give you a warning. And at 5 minutes, it'll be done. So public input. Mike?
Excuse me, Mike Felt, 172 Dooley Ave. I want to start by thanking the council. This is kind of piggybacking on what to the Public Works meeting last night, but I don't think there's enough appreciation given to especially the council members who basically donate their time to help run the city. So I myself, and I guess I speak for a lot of citizens, appreciate that. Along with you, Mayor Panetti, we've had some controversy here in the last year that I don't think is helping the city much, but I think it is bringing a little bit more transparency, and I think that's important. I want to piggyback on Bob's recommendation or suggestion on bringing back wage and personnel, and more importantly, the finance committee. And I think as part of that finance committee, there should be like a citizens advisory that I don't think anybody on the council has financial experience. I've talked to a few people with financial background that might be advantageous. Excuse me. reason for that is the debt that the city's at, the bonding debt is, I think, a little bit, I don't think people realize what that's at. The amount of millions of dollars that the city's in debt, and I think Bob brought that also to Brittany for a agenda item at a future meeting. I think it would be very advantageous if that would be held as a special meeting to just address that part of it, the bond debt that the city's carrying. Along with that, I think because of that situation, financial situation, should be considered to kind of suspend a lot of the committees that aren't necessary to running the city to focus on the financial part of it. I think a lot of resources are stretched out over those committees where with the council members that are on numerous committees that they could possibly get together on the financial part of it, seeing that's a big issue right now with the city. Again, another part of that is I've talked to the majority of the council members, talked to the mayor, several other community members, and it comes up about the city being broke. And some of it's hearsay information from the auditor stated that the city was broke, but your definition of broke is, different. You have no money, you live paycheck to paycheck, you spend every dollar that you take in. I don't think the city's in the situation where it's broke, but there's severe financial considerations that need to be addressed. The other issue here is this ordinance. It's on the agenda. I think that's a bad idea, a really bad idea. We were in the Public Works meeting last night, just as an example. The dumpster ordinance was discussed, and the statement was made, we need to put this in because one bad apple, spoils it for everybody, so everybody's gonna be treated the same. So then comes up about properties that need to be addressed with, garbage and this, that, and the other thing. Well,
30 seconds, Mike.
the gentleman that was discussed had tens of thousands of dollars in fines. Then it was discussed on, what does the city settle for as a payment? So if everybody's gonna be treated the same and that ordinance is gonna be enforced, then wouldn't that gentleman be assessed that full amount as he would be? Thank you.
Okay. Public input. Riley?
Riley Soul, 1240 McDonald Street. Again, thank you guys for being here today. Seriously, the weather is so nice out there. I'm gonna leave after I say this and go catch a walleye. I do want to thank you also, Bob, for mentioning bringing back the personnel committee. I think it's a great idea. I really do. Same for the finance committee. I'd be supportive of that as well. But really the main thing that I just wanted to talk about today, I do feel pretty strongly about it, is that 6F agenda item. It's the ordinance one that Mike was just referring to, and I agree that I'm opposed to the change as it's listed here. I have a lot I'd like to say about it. Probably gonna, I don't know if I'll ever run out of my time or not, but it's fine. Basically, I did a lot of research and I looked at 10 different communities in our area. Shawano, Pulaski, Clintonville. There's a number of them I'm going to touch base on, but I looked at everyone's specific introduction of ordinance section and compared it to what ours currently is and what the new one is proposed to be. And I noticed a few things. But I basically want to build that on this extremely important sentence from the Wisconsin's Department of Justice, the message from the Office of Open Government. In the very first sentence says, "It is imperative that we recognize that transparency is the cornerstone of democracy and that citizens cannot hold elected officials accountable in a representative government unless government is performed in the open." And I think an important part of that, whichever ordinance, whether we keep the old one, get the new one, or something somewhere in between, I firmly believe it is vital to attach someone's name to that ordinance. That is the way that it's currently written in our code. It says, "All ordinances submitted to council shall be in writing and shall begin with the title and the name of the alderperson or mayor introducing the same." And that's extremely important because if there's an issue, the citizens will know who to call up and talk to, ask any questions about it. They can know in a democracy who to hold accountable at the ballot box if those ordinances that are being created, they have a say in the matter through the vote. If the ordinances are coming from not elected officials, it's a lot harder for the citizens to do anything about it. And a couple weeks ago, when we decided to start sponsoring the ordinances like as listed in our code, I thought that was a huge step forward in the form of transparency for democracy and accountability as well. When I was looking at it, I noticed that Peshtigo has almost word for word the exact same ordinance, section 2-193. It says the same exact thing: "All ordinances submitted to the common council shall be in writing and shall begin with the name of the alderperson or mayor introducing the same." It's the exact same thing. The only difference in theirs is they also require a notice that the ordinance has first been published as a class 2 notice to the paper so that the citizens can also see that proposed ordinance in advance. And I think that's a huge thing that Peshtigo has kind of above and beyond what we currently have. Also Hortonville, which is a village, so they have trustees instead of council members or alderpersons, but they have the same thing. It says the matter submitted to the village board shall be read by title and author, and it says no ordinance, resolution, or bylaw will be considered unless presented in writing by a trustee, which would be a council member. So Hortonville also requires that a council member present these ordinances. Shawano also, it says no ordinance or resolution shall be acted upon unless the sponsor's name is so indicated. Brilliant says ordinances shall be in writing and have endorsed thereon the name of the person presenting the same. Marinette, same thing. Well, there are some variations between, there's some that I think are better than others of the 10 that I looked at. Marinette requires that all written material be read by the clerk. In Oconto, we don't require that these ordinances are read out loud. It just says that an alderperson can request that they be read in full. A more transparent government would mandate that they be read, but that's our old ordinance doesn't require that. Currently, again, if you want to make a change to it, make whatever changes, just make sure they're good changes and hopefully changes that are more transparent and accountable. New London also requires that the ordinance be read at least twice.
Riley,
they can make a motion
15
on it.
seconds.
And yeah, so of the 10, I could not find that section of the ordinance for O'Connell Falls. I could not find it for Pulaski. It just was very hard or not in their code.
Thank you, Riley. Okay, additional public input.
My name is Benna Dreshik, and I believe you guys know my son Dave. He was here at your meeting last night. He was telling me about this because I don't have Facebook or email I have email, but not Facebook, about the dumpster. And what I'm going to say is, we've had that dumpster for almost 30 years. Nobody's ever complained, nobody ever puts anything in it. My husband right now has Alzheimer's, and for God's sakes, don't make him change anything because I can't deal with that. If I had to put up a fence, I'll do it down the line. But I cannot change his life right now. He's thinking we're back 30 years ago. And we've never had any trouble. And if I have to put up a fence now, and when the dumpster guy comes and I have to go out and open it, who's not saying somebody's not going to come and throw shit in there anyway? because it would have to be open all day long. I don't think the dumpster guy's going to get out and unlock that gate and then close it back up. So I'm looking at it at a point where my husband does come first. Nothing has ever been done for 30 years. We are in a business, and I would love to have my yard look different, and I'm trying. But right now he's in a hoarding mode. I can't change him. I can't make him understand what he's doing is wrong. And I'm not going to put him away somewhere. So I want you guys to understand your circumstances. You have to go up, like my son said, go talk to the people. See what their circumstances are before you commit to making every Tom, Dick, and Harry do the same thing. We're all different people. And things in our home are different. And as much as I love this town, I'm originally from Utah, and but this is home. I've been with him, it's going on 60 years. I will not change him now. I can't put him away because there's an ordinance that's going to throw his whole life into a turmoil. So stop and think about that. Please go and talk to the people and see what their life is before you make a quick judgment.
Thank you, Brianna. Okay, additional public input. Courtney?
I have something that I wanted to pass out that I was going to walk through. Sorry. Thank you. There's an extra copy in case anyone else wants to see it. So I just wanted to kind of go through the timeline of what happened with the Public Works and Public Works Superintendent position and some of the utility positions. I don't know if the council is all on the same page, but a lot of what was done wasn't done to code according to state or city ordinances, and I don't care who you guys hire, who you elect, it's not up to me, it's up to you guys, but I would like to see that you go back and go through the correct steps to make it right. So Jeremy resigned on January 23rd with a 2 weeks notice, special council meeting on February 2nd to discuss his position, replacements, etc. It was agreed upon to hire Jeremy back as a consultant to train in a replacement. That's what the council had agreed on. Maybe there was a discussion about splitting his position into two, but nothing was voted on that I can find or that I received from Brittany in any open records. There was a utility meeting on February 6th where they voted to rehire Jeremy as a part-time utility manager for the remaining of his 2023 salary and to advertise for utility manager in training position. None of that was approved by council. Matt Beekman was hired as a utility manager in training for a $2.40 raise set by Utility Commission, not by council. Special council meeting on March 7th voted to hire a candidate for the position of Public Works Superintendent. Special council meeting on March 14th, council interviewed the chosen candidate. There's some text messages later that I received from Brittany that are between Brittany, Frank, and Jeremy that are in the back part of this packet. A special council meeting on March 21st where the council voted to counteroffer the same candidate for the position of Public Works Superintendent. Special council meeting was scheduled for March 27th, the day after the counteroffer was made to the candidate. On March 27th, it was the candidate's offer deadline. She accepted the job, and Brittany had a phone conversation with the candidate later in the day to rescind the offer due to lack of funds from whatever it was, splitting the position. On March 27th, at that special council meeting, later in the day after the employee accepted the offer and it was rescinded, the council voted to rehire Jeremy then for the Public Works Superintendent position. No alterations that were voted on or made public were made to the position, restructuring it to part-time because the previous candidate that was offered the position and the job listing were both posted as a full-time position for that Public Works Superintendent position. But Jeremy couldn't be hired for part-time for utility and full-time for for Public Works Superintendent. But I don't think that that change ever happened. The position was never reposted to move it to part-time. The other thing that I got approval from that candidate to share was that the offer was $72,500, but she was not going to take healthcare benefits, which were agreed upon that they were valued at $27,000. I don't know if that was discussed, but this would bring her salary down to $45,500 if you were comparing it to Jeremy's $44,000 salary, which was half of his salary. And she had also agreed and had discussed with Brittany to sign an agreement for a set number of years saying that she wouldn't take, benefits the following year. The council was told that Jeremy was the cheapest option at $44,000, but his pay is actually $88,300. As it currently stands, Jeremy was hired for a part-time utility manager position and a full-time public works superintendent position. No vote was conducted to alter the position from full-time to part-time. After the offer was rescinded from the other candidate who was offered full-time. The job listing was not updated to part-time. So on the next page, this is just some of the codes that I've listed out and some of the mistakes that I believe happened. Failure to submit a resignation
30
letter.
seconds.
Okay, can I have Eric's time? Failure to submit a resignation letter. We tried to request this from City Hall. We were told there was no resignation letter. Under state code, conditions of resignation, an employee who resigns from a position is required to submit a letter of resignation to the appointing authority. That would be the council. There was no council vote to split the position between public works superintendent and utility manager. No council vote to set salaries for utility manager or utility manager in training positions that were both created by utility commission. And no council vote to hire Jeremy as utility manager. The vote was to hire Jeremy as a contractor to train in the utility manager. Under Utilities Commission, Section 2-4-10, that's the City of Oconto ordinance, salaries, wages, creation of new personnel positions, and reclassification will be determined by the Common Council. That was not a Utility Commission decision to set salaries or to split positions or create positions. And they created 2 positions and they set wages. The Open Meetings Law requires a government body to create and preserve a record of all motions and roll call votes at its meetings, which I've, requested all this. This is what a lot of this information is coming from. And then below I have the meeting minutes from that utility meeting where Jeremy was hired. Brittany, Frank, and Jeremy were texting during a closed session meeting. I'm not making this up. I didn't force Jeremy to give, or force Brittany to give this to me. This was an open record that she provided. But I think that it's important for the public to know, that I get criticized all the time of knowing all this closed session information, yet Brittany, here you are texting Jeremy, who's out in the hall, not included in closed session. So Jeremy said, remember, Matt does not want to do both positions. Brittany says, the mayor doesn't give a shit what Matt wants. He wants Jennifer to take both. I am so pissed I can't even think right now. Jeremy said, of course he does, and then it goes to hell in a hurry. This costs the utility no more money. I assume I can leave? Brittany, I would if I were you. I wouldn't wait for this joke. Jeremy, is Brian saying anything? Brittany, no. The mayor brought Jennifer in closed session and interviewed her. Jeremy, what a joke. Call me when it's done. Brittany, I will. Frank is also on the email chain, or the text chain. This next page is a list of open meeting laws that, I believe a lot of these are broken in a lot of different scenarios. I'm not going to go through and read them all. All employees must apply for a position and conduct an interview. State statutes also require a municipality to hire the most qualified candidate for a position. They would not be able to make this decision without seeing Jeremy's resume or interviewing him for the position. State code says no head of a department, city official, or city employee shall be appointed for a fixed term but during good behavior and satisfactory service. All appointments shall be purely on merit and with a view to securing the best available appointee for the place. Due consideration shall be given to training, whatever. Except as provided in 19.36, the applications, records, recommendations, and qualifications of all applicants shall be immediately placed and therefore kept on file. Shall be matters of public records. The penalties and enforcement, that is for breaking open meeting laws. The council is responsible for that. If there's open meeting laws being broken, you guys can, there's a fine of potentially $25 to $300. If you vote against something, you are, let me see what it says. if the enforcement involves an improper closed session, members who voted against convening closed session have a defense to the charge. In addition, a court enforcing the open meetings law has the power to void any action taken at a meeting in violation of the open meetings law. That is why I'm asking for you guys to just go back through and do this right. Approve, if you want to approve Jeremy's position to be split in two and hire him for both of them, that's great. If you want to approve, Matt Beekman to have the promotion, that's great. But do it and post your votes. Just do it right. And then this is just additional open meetings laws and where it needs to be posted. Brittany, there's pretty often there are meetings that are not posted online, and we had asked you before and you said that you post them. Okay, they're not all posted online. A lot of them are, but not all of them. We've asked you before if you post them in the Reporter, and you've said yes, and then today we found out that you don't. You need to put them in 2 places, 3 places if you're not putting it online, 2 places, it's right in your own code, you can reference it in here, but it's 2 places if you're putting it online. You can post it in City Hall, and then you can put another copy if it's on your government website, otherwise it needs to be in 3 places, or you can post it in the newspaper.
20 seconds.
Okay. And then there's also, well, yeah, all right, I'll just let you guys read through the rest of it, but I guess my ask would be that you go back through and you vote on everything that you guys want to do. The council votes on it, not utility commission, and you do it in the correct way. Okay.
Okay. Bobby?
Can I just tell you something? Believe it or not, the Utility Commission sets the rates. The Utility Commission is separate by the state of Wisconsin state statutes. We don't get to tell them what to do. And if you want to keep taking my picture, that's fine. It's already up there.
You can look in the ordinance. Look under Utility Commission.
I'm going to tell you, the ordinance are the ones that set who they hire. We don't get a second chance on who they hire. Which, if I'm not mistaken, are you on the utilities? Mm-hmm. We don't, as a council, vote on what the utility does because it's a commission. Just like we don't vote basically at the airport. It's a commission.
Look up your ordinance.
The Police and Fire Commission is a commission.
Frank came to the meeting and actually gave an example of that.
Here's another one thing. I just want you to know, I was the one that put the 72.5. Now that you know everything on the closed session, and the benefits, the health benefits are not $27,000. Her health benefits would have been $4,000 because she wasn't taking health insurance.
That's
The
not what it's
benefits she was
valued at.
taking. What?
That's not what it's valued at. That's what the city gives as a
stipend.
Hold on, Bobby.
I'm so sick of this with you. I really am.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. And any additional public input? Second time, any additional public input? And the third time, is there any additional public input? Okay, with no more additional public input, we'll move on to number 6. Discussion recommendations on department reports, police and fire. Mike?
Yeah, there were 21 ordinance violations found last month and 395 total calls for service. On March 23rd, Sergeant Shear and Captain Newbeck, along with Felto, did another drug sniff at the middle school. Recently, the O'Connell Police Department was awarded almost $4,000 to purchase a laser for our speed enforcement. That being said, we had to get trained. I spoke to a sergeant on the state patrol, and she sent up 2 troopers on March 21st and trained all of us officers in its use. On March 28th, Lieutenant Crocker recertified the entire department in CPR. And just so everyone's aware, one of our officers left. We are down a man. I expect another one leaving within 2 weeks. So we'll be down 2.
Who left, Mike?
Koopman, and then I'm not going to say the other one because he doesn't have a job. I think he has that right to his own
Okay,
life.
yeah, understand. When you, question for you, when you say you're trained in a laser,
Most speed enforcement guns that run off radar waves.
yeah,
This is a laser that bounces off the car and comes back.
that's the latest technology, I
That's the
take it.
latest technology.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept Mike's report?
We'll just do those.
Do them all together. Okay. 6, Park and Rec report.
You skipped fire.
Josh is first.
Josh?
So for last month, we had 89 total calls, 18 fire-related incidences, 71 EMS-related incidences. Of those 89 total calls, 13 of them generated all calls. We needed additional staffing for some purpose or another. 5 times it was for a second ambulance call. The remainder 8 times were all staff was needed. We had, along with that, we had pulseless non-breathers. We had 3 of them calls. We had a couple multiple fire alarms at different times. During the fire alarms, we had a second ambulance call, so 2 ambulances were out to get a fire alarm service at the same time. And we also responded to response to gas leaks throughout the city. There was 2 of them. So that generated 13 total all calls. Along the bottom, you can see we're active in some additional training throughout the month. And Deputy Chief Pesci was able to instruct CPR class to the area nonprofit daycare and got those trained up in CPR. If there's any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions for Josh? Okay, thank you. Moving on, Park and Rec report. You should have that in front of you here.
Yeah.
Any questions on Park and Rec? Public Works report. Any questions on Public Works? Okay, Administrators report. Brittany?
Does anyone have any questions on their report? That's all I have.
How's cash flow?
Beautiful.
What'd she say?
Beautiful. Paying our bills.
Yeah, you can ask for a motion.
Okay.
A motion to approve the report.
Can I get a motion to approve the reports?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, second? Jeannie? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, 6B. Accounts payable for the month of March 2023 in the amount of $402,137.46. Payroll for the month of March 2023 in the amount of $152,518.23, and other financial reports as presented.
Keep going.
Okay,
No, go through them one at a time.
One at a time.
One at a time. So you need a
This
motion.
is community hall. Yeah.
can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Steve, second.
I'll second.
Patsy, all in well, discussion? Vote?
Butch Melberg,
Aye.
Steve Stock, John Witkoff, Patsy Bake,
Aye.
Jean Felt,
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
Aye.
Okay, 6C, approval and appointment of Cheryl Young to the Ethics Committee for a partial 3-year term ending May 1st, 2023.
I'll explain why that's a little bit weird. We have the potential of having an ethics committee meeting coming up, and she has to fill the vacant term for the end of its year to keep it on schedule. So this is just to fill the vacant spot, and then the next one will be her new term.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second by Jeannie. Discussion? Vote?
Butch Melberg,
Aye.
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Witkoff,
Aye.
Patsy Bake,
Aye.
Jean Felt,
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
Aye.
6D, approval of appointment of Cheryl Young to the Ethics Committee for a 3-year term ending May 1st, 2026.
I got a question. Did you approach her about this, or is this something that's mandatory for her spot, for her position?
It can be any city official.
No, you approached her.
Well, Mike Bake was the,
I know that.
Yeah.
You talked to her already, I'm just talking.
actually, I did mention it to her.
That's all I wanted. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay? Discussion? Vote?
Butch Melberg,
Aye.
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Wickoff,
Right.
Patsy Bake,
Aye.
Jean Felt,
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
6E, approval appointment of Teresa LeMay to the Park and Rec Committee for a partial 5-year term ending August 1st, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
Motion? Second? Butch? Discussion? Vote?
Butch Melberg,
Aye.
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Wickoff,
Aye.
Patsy Bake,
Aye.
Jean Felt,
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
6F, approval of an ordinance regarding revisions to the government and administration ordinance in the municipal code of ordinances for the city of O'Connell. Introduction of
I'd
ordinances.
like to pull that.
Pull that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean by that, Steve?
When do we talk about it at the end?
No, right now. You're thinking of the consent agenda on the council. This is
Well-
the committee of the whole.
Just listen, everybody talk about it. Can I just talk about it right now then? Okay. So the reason I brought it up to do this ordinance change, whether it's right or wrong, I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in here, and maybe what I'm proposing is totally off the wall. The reasons why I did it is, number one, department heads, they know more about our everyday operations in the whole city than pretty much any of us. So I thought, why not include them in on creating ordinances or retuning some of these ordinances. I mean, they're out there more than we are. They know more about our community than we do. And I thought to myself, committee and boards, why do we have them if we're not going to take the recommendations on ordinance changes and then talk with John, and he'll speak after I'm done here, because he actually brought something to life for me, and I agree with him on it. But I said, why does the mayor and the council have to be the only ones to present an ordinance change or create one? People are saying it holds us responsible because our name is on it. Well, when you vote yes or no on the ordinance, your name is on it no matter what, whether you vote for it or against it. When people are out to vote you in or out of office, it doesn't matter, because they're going to look at that ordinance and say, well, he voted for that, that affects me, he's not getting my vote next year. Not, hey, his name is on the top of that ordinance, we're not going to vote for him. You vote yes or no to the ordinance no matter what it is. Whether you agree or disagree with it, that's how people are going to look at and vote for you in the future. As far as I'm concerned, that's the way I look at it. Another one, so an ordinance change or a new one all come before council anyways. So, I mean, no matter who makes the ordinance change or wants to bring one forth, it's going to be voted on by us here anyways. So, just like me creating this one, if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. But it's just something that I thought we needed to look at. Another thing I had was, so a committee or a commission, on a new ordinance change, so basically what they're saying is an alderman or the mayor has to be the one to change. So what happens if I'm sitting on the Board of Public Works, or I'm on whatever board I'm on, and there's 6 of us in that room. The 5 people in that room agree to make an ordinance change, but me as the council guy say, no, I don't agree with that. So what? What happens to that? It just goes away? We don't get to follow through with it? To me, you know what I'm saying? I mean, so if you're on any board, the police and fire, whatever board you're on, I'm just saying is if John don't agree with something, what the other 5 people on his committee are saying they want to do, then it can't be brought to council because John doesn't agree. But then John brought a couple things to life for me when I was having the conversation with him before the meeting started. And I don't know if you want to tell him or if you want me to tell him what you.
Go ahead.
So John says, well, in that case, if you don't, like if a council member's on a committee and you don't agree with it, and he's the only council member on that committee, and the rest, so then you could call up another council member and say, hey, could you come to the meeting? Councilman Wyckoff, he doesn't agree with this, I would really like to have your input. That's an option. I don't know where to go with it, to be honest with you, after hearing the pros and cons and listening to Riley talk about it too. I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are on it, but we can sure just do whatever you want, I guess, so.
Jeannie?
Ordinances for the city of Oconto were adopted, they were just picked up from another city a long time ago. That's how we got our ordinances in the first place. Somebody looked at another city and said, this will work for now. So what we have is a book of ordinances that may or may not fit the city of Oconto. They also are, you know, I sound like, they're more like guidelines at this point. They are meant for the betterment of all of the people. And they are decided on by everyone. And I agree with what Steve said. They're brought forth by the people who know what needs to happen. We can't pull that kind of crap out of our, you know what, without the knowledge. We need to have that information brought forward to us. And we can then use our reasoning and discuss and decide together what the right thing to do for our city is going to be. So I don't know where this notion came from. Maybe it was part of an ordinance that came from somewhere else that said so-and-so's name must be on here. That isn't us. That's not Oconto. And I would not vote to keep that in place because it isn't a singular person that should sponsor something like this for the betterment of our city. It should be brought forward by the experts and talked about. And I think that was one of the things Riley mentioned that I think we probably could do a better job of, is being clear on what the ordinances mean, why we should follow them, how we can understand not just, as Benna said, the circumstances, but the consequences. You know, what is the consequence of not putting this ordinance into place right now? What is the consequences of putting it into place right now? You know, there's all of the different life situations. We're dealing with human beings here, not machines, that have different situations that happen to them. And I think that we're not too big of a city that we can't look at real people and real situations to understand how the laws that we are making affect everyone. And we always do things with the best interest of the people at heart. All of the people sitting in this room that are making these decisions do that. And it's why we were elected. And it's what we're proud of. So.
Steve?
Another reason I brought this up is because I felt like I was targeted with the dumpster deal. I thought that I had a bullseye on my back.
Yeah.
You know, and the only reason I brought that forth was because I was in the Board of Public Works and I brought that forward and I had to put my name on it, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that should have been brought forth by the Board of Public Works to the council, for the council to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Bob votes for it, I vote for it, Butch votes for it, John, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're sponsoring that by saying yes to that ordinance. So, you know, the thing is, if this is the way it's gonna go, that a council member or the mayor are the only ones that can present ordinances to the city, then I'm done. This will be the last ordinance I sponsor. This will be the last one that I present to the city, because I'm not gonna go through this again, so. And, I mean, there's a few things on here I think that would have to be corrected before we would approve it. City attorney, I think, would be omitted from that, but other than that, I'm okay with everything else that's on here. But, like I said, I will sit back here and I will just kick back and I'll do nothing. And you guys can create the ordinances, because I'm not gonna do it, right?
Steve, I just wanted, the one reason that typically city attorney is included on there is if there's a change in state statute that needs to be then incorporated into our ordinance, because our ordinance conflicts. So an example was when basically Mike and I brought forth the change on the concealed carry, and we changed our ordinance. Again, that's not something that usually goes through, but that's usually the reason. But you can leave it in, take it to the personal meeting.
John?
I think that's one of the reasons we have an alderman on all of these committees. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of stuff, and he don't agree with, I mean, everybody's got their yeses and nos.
Right.
I kind of feel like Benna, you know? I mean, everybody has an issue. It's like if there's a bad apple in the barrel, go fix that bad apple. Don't punish everybody else. And otherwise, it's going to be meetings just like what we had last night. We had, I don't know, maybe 15 people in there last night. One said, yeah, you'd do it if you had to, but he didn't want to do it. You know, and I agree. I mean, that's why you have an alderman on every one of them. And that alderman is supposed to listen to the committee chairman and stuff, and your department head is at that meeting. He's supposed to keep you up. So if you don't know what's going on, that's your own darn fault. That's why you're in the meeting, because you know just as much is going on as anybody else in this committee. So I just don't think we should have a free-for-all with everybody saying, yeah, I think we got to do this. You'll be down here every night trying to change ordinances. So I think it should be left the way it is. That's my personal opinion.
Bob?
I think you dilute your committees because you have a lot of supposedly citizen participation. If you have one city council on there, no matter if you're going to sponsor or not, you have to have a motion and then you have to have a second. So then it's approved. You've looked through the ordinance. You have an alter person and you have the committees, the board, or the commissions that are actually doing what they're supposed to do. Then it comes before the city council. And in the first one that is sponsoring on the city council was be the one that makes the motion. You'd be sponsoring the change on that ordinance, and then the second, and then you vote on it. I just think you're diluting your citizen participation, and I think you're diluting your committees, commissions, or boards. And I don't know what happened here, but I think when we first started with this dumpster stuff, it was basically, wasn't it for bars, restaurants that had to have the fence because of the chance of papers or boxes or whatever? I know that most of the ones that have fences right now are businesses. In fact, some of them had to have it because you had a grease dumpster, which would keep the kids out of there if they get inquisitive or whatever. Stick their hands in a grease can. But I didn't think we had this where it was anything about a home dumpster. I thought it was mostly about business dumpsters. I don't remember it going as far as it has.
It is just business.
Huh?
Just business.
Yeah, I thought it was just business. I didn't think it was home or anything like that, so I don't know how far it got.
It is business.
She does have a business.
Huh?
She does have a business.
We do have a business.
You have a business?
You bet we do. We've had it there since 1941.
Well, it's for food products.
That's right.
Yeah.
For food
Food
products.
products, that's what
Yes, for the restaurants.
Mike?
If I could just talk on this dumpster issue. The police department works on citizens' complaints. I mean, we all know the junk houses. I'll just say the one on Superior Ave, we've all seen it right by the middle school. I can look back and tell you how many people complain, because every time somebody makes a complaint to the police department, we write an ordinance. We write a report about it. Track the address, blah, blah, blah. So I was talking to Attorney Calvert today, and we were talking about the dumpster ordinance, so we were done with our conversation, and I went on my computer and went back 2 years to see if anybody's ever complained about a dumpster in a business area that wasn't enclosed, and there were 0. There were no complaints. So if we're gonna base and change ordinances, they should be based on some sort of complaint. That there's some issue in the city that isn't working and we have to enclose it. I don't feel they should be. There's no complaints. Citizens are not complaining about these dumpsters. And that's my 2 cents.
Mike, did you have any complaints as far as approaches, driveway approaches, the lack
We're
of them?
really getting off the subject, Mayor.
Well,
I mean, we're venturing away from.
We
this
didn't,
word.
but we wouldn't. That would have been to the street department.
okay. Steve?
That's why we're bringing the dumpsters at the committee of the whole next month. We're gonna revisit it, so. Because I think it needs to be relooked at, so. That's all I
Okay.
got on that.
Okay. Any other comments? So we're tabling this. Motion to table?
I did.
Okay.
Second. Johnny? Discussion? Vote?
Butch Melberg. Steve Stock. John Witkoff. Patsy Bake. Jean Felt. Bob LeBrecq.
Okay, 6G, we're going to bypass. Moving to H, recommendations from Board of Public Works, approval of invoice from Packer City International for amount of $35,838.22 for a new engine for a 2005 International plow truck. Brittany?
That's one of our plow trucks. It's 18 years old, so it's getting up there. We did as much in-house mechanic work as we could. What we couldn't do, we brought in and had it repaired, and that was the cost.
Is that a new motor, or?
What fund did you say that?
It's a new motor, yes. The equipment repair fund under the street department.
I'll make that motion.
Motion, second, discussion.
Who second? Thank you.
Gene. Vote.
Butch Melberg. Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Witkoff. Patsy Bake. Jean Felt. Bob LeBrecq.
Okay, moving on. 6I, recommendation from the O'Connell Utility Commission, approval of invoice from Crane Engineering in the amount of $45,035.08 for repair of water screen at the wastewater treatment plant. Brittany?
That was a repair that needed to be done at the wastewater treatment plant. This does not come out of the general fund budget. It comes out of the utility budget.
And part of it was, I'm on that committee there. We hate to stick the money into it because we're gonna be upgrading everything. But we're looking at possibly to recoup some of the money. We're gonna be able to sell some of that to recoup some of the money back anyway. After the DNR requirements, we're gonna, I mean, we had to do it because people like to flush the toilet and it goes the right direction. But then we're gonna hopefully recoup some of the money from selling the, after the remodeling is done.
You think you'll get 50%?
We're hoping for 50%.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Butch.
Questions? Gonna get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Butch, second. Discussion?
I thought, when it comes out of utility, I thought they didn't have to come to council.
It doesn't, but a lot of things that come to council don't need to, but it's for your information. Who seconded that? Thank you.
Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Witkoff.
Aye.
Patsy Bake. Jean Felt. Bob LeBrecq.
Okay, recommendation from Police and Fire Commission, approval of a quote from Renart's Fire Equipment Service Incorporated for the amount of $15,965 or $22,105 for truck repair. Josh?
This is for our 1996 ladder truck that we have. I have some pump packings that are going out of it, and the only way to get a bulk or to get a for sure number is when they tear it apart to refix the problems that are causing the leak. Over the telephone, description of where I'm thinking I see this leak coming from in the truck, talking with the mechanic. The low end price is that of the 15,000, and the high end via telephone and just a non-verbal committed type thing, but around the 22,000. Proposed it to PFC that I'd be able to get it out of my capital equipment, and they approved it, so it's here to get your okay to proceed forward, because I have not scheduled it yet due to its financing.
Questions?
I got one. I just want everybody here to look at the age of our vehicles. From 18 years old, and this truck here is 27 years old. So it's gonna cost more to keep fixing these older trucks. And yet, the city of Oconto isn't gonna have the money to buy new ones. So this is where you're in a catch-22 situation all the time. So, for everybody to get PO'd and start digging and saying we're not doing our job, this is what everybody has to work with here. And it's not gonna get any better sooner. Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion not to exceed the.
Motion not to exceed
The
the
$20,000.
$22,000.
Josh?
I'm sorry, but he has no idea. It could exceed it once he's into it. He's just trying to give me a ballpark. I said, I'm looking for a range so I could come to you with, it's potentially down to here. He's estimating here, but he doesn't know. Like I said, the truck has to go for a 2-hour road trip. In order to get an exact quote, he has to tear it all apart. And then I'm down and out that fire truck.
Well, how are we supposed to approve something for you?
Well, I came to you with a ballpark estimate, the best I can do without tearing the truck apart and having it out of service until there's
Well,
a
let
meeting.
them know you got 22,000.
Huh?
Let them know you got 22,000. And if it requires more, you'll have to come back for more. That's what we
Once
can
you
do.
get it tore apart,
today.
you're gonna have to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna have to.
Well, you can't wait another month for a council meeting.
When are you taking it?
I don't know, I was waiting for this approval because he's got a 2-week window before it can get even into the shop.
And the police and fire approved you for,
Just the way this quote's written.
and
And they know that it is a ballpark.
can you read it? Can you read it again?
Approval of a quote from Renart's Fire Equipment Service to the amount of $15,965 or $22,105 for truck repair.
So that's the way it's written.
And it's in your quote that it
And
could
it
be.
could go more.
Again, I'm talking to a mechanic that.
I understand, I
You know
understand.
what I'm saying? So
I'm
he
not
can't-
arguing that, I'm just wondering.
Otherwise,
what
he would put a number to it. And then what do I do? He says, your pump packings are out. It's gonna get fixed. It needs to get fixed, otherwise
Right.
it'll continue to leak. Well, what's the cost? Well, I don't know because you held me to this. I mean, it's a safety equipment that needs to be fixed. I have a capital budget of $25,000.
Do we say up to 25,000 then, or what would you do? How would you
What
write
am I
it?
gonna do?
What?
I
Let
have
me make,
no other options. It's a piece of service equipment for emergencies and I
Yeah,
can't
we
sit
need
with
it.
it leaking.
can I make a suggestion here? Why don't you approve up to the 22,105? Okay? Put him on the work. As soon as you find out if it's going to exceed that, come back with the adder. It gets your piece of equipment back, it gets it into the shop, it gets him going on it, and we're going to pray like hell it comes in between.
So as you're
That
working up,
motion.
that's what you started.
That's what I wanted to do.
I got a question. Josh, wasn't there something on that quote I'm looking for here that it still included something else besides that?
It's the last page of the packet.
Huh?
It's the last page of the packet.
Is it the reference on the line for labor, pump test?
Something about, you said that,
Last page.
either quote, you still gotta add whatever it was for.
Yeah, he added that to it though, the 320. Is that the 325?
That 325?
Yeah. And the 150, I think he added that to the 21.
325.
That's how it came up to 22, I think. I didn't do the math.
You see where I'm talking, Josh?
The 325 number?
Yeah, it says there needs
That's where
further
it came to
options.
22.
So is that added on to what your quote was?
That 325 is, no matter where this estimate falls, if it would be, as you can see, the number on the top, which
Yeah, I
is
agree. No,
15,490.
that's just how it comes.
Or there's the 21,000.
That's included in?
Either one of those options, if we fall between that, we still need to do that 325.
I mean.
Because I need to have the pump tested to make sure it's certified so that it can do its operation.
All right.
You know how this stuff goes.
Yeah.
22.1. Let's add that.
The 325 and the 150 are
And the
added.
Those are added.
Correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. That's added.
All right. I just remembered there was another number.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Well, Josh, you said you had 25 in the budget for that?
That's what I was approved at budget time, was 25. I probably am just shy of it. I had a few purchases this year.
Make a motion to approve whatever you got in the budget, can't go over the budget. That way you don't have to come back, right?
Hopefully.
Make a motion to do $25,000.
He
You
doesn't
don't
have
have
20.
He doesn't have
Doesn't
that
have
much.
25.
Go 24.
Yeah,
Do you have 24?
24.
Josh, do you know how much you have left?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
It'll be in that packet that I
I
gave
was
you
gonna
guys.
say, it's gotta be in here somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, no, I apologize. It's not in that packet.
It's not-
It's a 402 account.
Okay.
No.
Yep, so it won't be in there.
Go back to the 22.05.
Okay, so we don't know the amount in the budget that he has left.
I think just let's do it for the high end of the quote for now. And if you need more, we'll figure that part out.
Well, I'm pretty sure if we're giving him 22.105 and it was 23, we'll
We'll
still
figure it out, yeah, we'll have it.
get the truck back and we'll send a check.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, you're not gonna let the guy.
No, that's, I mean.
So
You're gonna write it?
who's gonna make this motion?
Gene made it.
Gene?
I make the, yeah.
Okay, so repeat your motion after all this. Thank you.
My motion is to approve the quote to repair the truck for as much as 22,105.
Okay. We got a second by Bob. Discussion? Vote?
Butch Melberg,
Right?
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Wyckoff,
Aye.
Patsy Bake, Gene Felt,
Aye.
Papa Brock.
Aye.
Okay, moving on, item 7, council may vote at approximately 6:15 to convene into closed session pursuant to the notice duly given as allowed by Wisconsin statute 19.851E for the deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties by Wisconsin Statute 19.851C for discussions of personal matters, and by Wisconsin Statute 19.851G for conferring with legal counsel for the following items. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Second? Discussion? Vote,
You could do all in favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?